Actress Ashley Judd vowing to press charges against people who sent her threatening and explicit tweets last weekend. Now, this incident, just one of many we've been hearing about lately. It started during the SEC championship game. Judd, a diehard Kentucky basketball fan, in case you didn't know, who doesn't know that, well, she sent a tweet during the game criticizing Kentucky's opponents. The response was shocking, at least to those not already initiated into the bullying and name calling that happens online all the time. And, you know, she got explicit and sexist comments, even threats of violence, stuff so vulgar we can't even read it here. In an op-ed afterwards, Judd wrote, quote, "I have already recently, in fact, looked into what is legally actionable in light of such abuse and have supplied Twitter with scores of reports about the horrifying content on its platform." So does Ashley Judd have a case against the people who sent the tweets? Joining me now, Bob Bianchi. He's a criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor and trial attorney, and Heather Hansen, a defense attorney. You know, this is completely annoying. Actually, Twitter, just for the record, Twitter recently sent, in fact, 2 days ago, sent me a report, an email telling me, because I had to report some people, and because the tweets were sexually explicit, gross, and just outright offensive, and I reported them. So Twitter was on top of it. They sent me an email saying that those accounts will be shut down. However, Bob, I want to start with you on this, because how can these abusive tweets be criminalized and punishable? I mean, and if before now there has not been legal recourse, will we start the precedent now?
You know, many states already have cyberbullying laws, and this is something that really was the genesis from 2007 on. And these laws really need to be prolifically gone after, because this scourge of what's happening as a former prosecutor, suicides, murders, horrible things that are happening. What happened to Ms. Judd is absolutely unacceptable. It is harassment by the definition of most states' cyberbullying laws. And while those cases may be a little difficult to prosecute because you have to show it was the person's purpose or intent to harass somebody, clearly what happened to Ms. Judd is completely unacceptable and should be forcefully prosecuted against those individuals.
It should be forcibly prosecuted. So what do you think the outcome will be?
Well, you know, this is going to be working in cooperation with law enforcement. And as a law enforcement officer, when I was doing this, we would reach out, and sometimes we got cooperation, sometimes we didn't. I think that I need to have a moral change from the standpoint of what these social media platforms are, to work cooperatively with law enforcement to prove these cases and start bringing these cases to trial, because this kind of vitriolic comment and the carnage and damage that it does needs to end. So what it takes is the gumption of the prosecutor and the police departments to take this seriously, because people are dying really regularly over these outrageous comments.
The outrageous comments, Heather. And I want to know, I'd like all of the ones who are using the platform in these abusive ways, I want them in jail, quite frankly. I want them criminally charged. And although, and I know you have a lot to say, but I want to point this out, that although Ashley Judd might not focus her lawsuit on Twitter, okay, but can these social media outlets begin to face liability?
It's going to be really, really hard, Arthel. The better way to control the outlets themselves is through the marketplace. People take themselves off Twitter because of this type of thing, then Twitter wants to have more users and they're going to try and fix it. To get them criminally responsible, there's a lot of things that you'd have to prove. You'd have to prove intent, you'd have to prove that there was some knowledge, but most importantly, under the federal law, the Communications Decency Act, they are not the publishers. Twitter, Yahoo, Google, that's not the publisher of the information. The publisher is the actual person who published it. So if they're not the publisher, it's very difficult, first of all, civilly, to sue Twitter or any of these different websites, but also it's going to be really a challenge to hold them criminally responsible. So the better way is to go after the people who are actually doing the tweets.
A lot of these people have anonymous accounts. They're all losers, so they hide behind the Twitter handle that's fake.
Yeah, that is true, although Twitter is a little bit better than some of the others at making sure that they are able to identify these people. And I think that you'll find more and more, you know, the CEO of Twitter has come forward and said, we are really bad at this, and because of it, we are losing customers. So we have to get better at it so that we can keep our customers. So they're going to do a lot better at identifying these people and kicking them the heck off the website.
So at what point, Bob, do these tweets go beyond freedom of speech to just outright abusive?
That's a great question. Listen, we believe very fundamentally in the freedom of speech, but that speech is limited and curtailed, just like not yelling fire out into a crowded auditorium or in a theater. You cannot do anything that is abusive, sexually suggestive. You can't do anything that would irk or make somebody feel uncomfortable. That kind of speech is not protected. Ms. Judd wrote something, people disagreed with it. You're free in this country to disagree with it.
Yeah, to say your team is a loser, that's fine.
But you're not free
your team sucks, but you don't aggressively come after her.
You're not free to abuse people. And listen, we live in a culture where there's some people that are very unstable, and these kinds of comments cause people to do things that otherwise are not something that we would want. It put her in danger. It was a threat, and it should be curbed. And there are things that can be done under our law, on the cyberbullying law. I have a little bit of a disagreement with this, and not much, but a little bit on the criminal side. It's like if you give a car to somebody who goes and commits a crime and you knowingly give them that car, then you could potentially be criminally culpable. And if Twitter or any of the social media platforms are aware a particular individual is doing this over and over again, not only forget the legal responsibility that they may face, they have a moral responsibility to stop this.
I have to, yes or no, is this any different from stalking?
It depends.
Yeah.
There's no yes or no.
Yeah, well, I don't have time. Unfortunately, I'm telling you.
It's a type of stalking.
It's a type of stalking.
It is, yep.
Yeah. Okay, Bob Bianchi. And Heather Hansen, thank you so much. I happened to watch Ashley Judd and my friend Thomas Roberts' show the other day, and she was talking about this, and I'm like, and then that happened to be on Twitter. I'm sorry, I got to go. Okay, bye. Go, Eric. They're wrapping.
All right, Al. Thanks, guys.